What do you do in the evening when you don't know what to do? Read a book, play a game, every night is just the same. What do you say if I tell you how to keep from feeling blue? My advice is good to take and it's easier to do. When you're all alone, any old night, and you're feeling out of tune, pick up your hat, close up your flat, and get out and get under the moon. Underneath the bright, silvery light, you'll be feeling better soon. Pick up your hat, close up your flat, and get out and get under the moon. Look, look, look at the stars above. Look, look, look at those sweeties love. Oh boy, give me a night in June. I mean it, all you got to do any old night when you're feeling out of tune. Pick up your hat, close up your flat, and get out and get under the moon. When you make a date any old night, gonna meet your sweetie soon. Pick up your hat, close up your flat, and get out and get under the moon. Underneath the bright, silvery light, that's the only place to spoon. Pick up your hat, close up your flat, and get out and get under the moon. Walk, walk, kiss and then walk again, talk, talk, kiss and then talk again, oh joy, sweethearts are all in tune. I mean it, when it's raining out, stay in a room, but on a lovely night in June, here's what to do, sweetie, and you just get out and get under the moon. If you're with a girl and she is cold, says she doesn't want her spoon, don't you feel blue? Here's what you do, just get out and get under the moon. If you feel a kiss and she gets sore, she'll forget it mighty soon. Don't stop to fret, she'll learn to pet when you get her under the moon. Indoors, there's not a thing to do. In-laws walk in and out on you. Oh boy, sister and brother too. I've tried it, just take my advice. If she is nice, nice as any night in June, just take her hand, she'll understand, and get out and get under the moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a Monday night rendition of Haunter's Anonymous live chat. How are y'all doing tonight? What the hell, Ashton? Okay.
It's not Friday.
It's not Friday. I got totally sidetracked. Of course, James is right beside me. Not
What's up?
Literally. Tonight we have Zach Black on, a man of many talents. We'll shoot his Facebook page up in a second. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad you're doing good, Jessica. Ashton, where did that come from? You just, what in the heck, Ola? But Louisiana, that's awesome, Pam. Welcome to Haunter's Anonymous. I guess we'll have Zach on probably in about 10-15 minutes, the usual quarter after. James, do you remember the name of the haunt that closed today? I'm not laughing because it closed, but it's getting to be a daily thing, and I can't keep up with names. I know it was in Tampa.
Terror Chamber, I think. Is that the one?
Was it Terror Chamber? Yeah.
Chamber of Terrors. Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
like, literally, there's so many of them right now. I can't. Really can't keep up.
It's unfortunate. I'm even concerned about making a list about it because it'll be so long, it'll just be depressing.
Yeah.
Once again, absolutely no word. It's July 1st, by the way. Welcome to July 1st, everybody. No word from Universal about Halloween Horror Nights. There's Zach. Hey, Zach, what's up?
What's up, Zach? Yeah, I'll let you in a few minutes, man. Just knock again.
Wait a minute. Did I say it was Monday? I did. Oh my God.
Did you say it was Monday? It's Wednesday.
I did. Well, welcome to whatever the hell day it is, everybody. I did. Because I was like, wait a minute. I go back and I'm like, Monday. Nope. It's Wednesday.
Hey, Jackson.
I was getting ready.
Hey, Chantel.
Hey, Jackson. I was getting ready to announce, of course, Friday we'll be having Vic on, Springston. And that's what made me think, wait a minute, today is actually not Monday because Monday, no, it's Wednesday. But anyway, hey, everybody.
That's because we did the Monday Night Live, so.
I think that's what it is. I'm like, oh my God. I even announced it as a Monday night. We normally don't do Monday nights. I've gone completely senile in the course of 1 minute. I'm just that convincing, Jessica. What else is going on? That's actually really, really about it. Super hot in Florida today. If anybody cares or understands the next statement, the Gulf of Mexico waters are almost 90 degrees, which means that any possible hurricane that came in there would just probably go up to a category 10 and level out half the United States.
Category 10. Yeah, it was the Chamber of Terror, and they actually shut down for good. Or
yeah,
not just 2020, they're actually shutting down, which sucks.
Yeah, it was prompted by the pandemic, but I think they said they had run 15 years, and the owner was done with it. So, which is sad. I think that unfortunately, like every time that we all get together, we're going to have at least one haunt to announce that's closed. Hopefully, just temporarily.
Yeah, which sucks. That's such crap news to give too.
Yeah. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Danny. Sorry, I was taking a drink.
I was doing that too. I had to get some water in me because obviously I think it's like, I don't know, Saturday or Tuesday or some crap. Who knows? But yeah, we're gonna let a couple people get in. It takes a few people to get in, and then we'll get Zach on here, and then we will just let him just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Because that's what we're about. I don't think we jinx haunts Ashton.
No, but we definitely read them very well because you go back to our the early streams when we started this, we said it was going to be July, August when everyone would start dropping the bombs.
Yep. Fortunately, we were pretty right about that. Speaking of, I didn't get a chance to tell you because James got to hear my fascinating I made sticky rice tonight story. I'm not going to name the name of it or the person that made the post because I was very close to really, really kind of ripping them one. But we've still got people who are trying to say that we are post COVID-19 and the pandemic's ended and everything's opened up. And this place was in South Carolina, and they were going to all these different haunt groups trying to recruit clowns for their haunt. Like literally fly here, drive here, whatever. We're open. I think they're opening up for several nights in mid-July, which makes no sense. But I'm just like, I don't quite understand why somebody would post it. Everything is ended and done and come work at this haunt. But there's my story for the night on that. It was in South Carolina, and their numbers are going through the roof.
Hey, Gail.
Not killer clowns. That'd be funny. Hydration helps. Yes, it does.
Well, somebody had mentioned, I believe it was Drew, had mentioned we'd be getting an announcement today from Halloween Horror Nights.
Did we?
I have not seen that.
Well, you know what, Drew? We're gonna call him Drew too. Of course, it was. I remember that it was, rumor.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, we are also we have a what's called HHN Drama, Halloween Horror Nights Drama. It's a group. It's been around for as long as this thing has, and it's hilarious. And it's just that we have a good old time talking about mostly Halloween Horror Nights, but a lot of other things too. Join it if you like, or don't if you don't. I wouldn't blame you either way. But
Zach, you can go ahead and knock again. I'll let you in. I think we're
ring the doorbell.
Yeah, we're on the roll here.
Oh, anybody? Hello?
The notice didn't
No?
stay up very long, so I don't know. May have to refresh the page if you're still there. Hey, 13.
Hey, 13, you are definitely not first tonight. How are you doing, buddy?
No, he will be last, though.
He will be last, even if he says last after the stream has
All right,
ended.
there he is.
Oh, I hear some extra. You with us, Zach? Earth calling Zach. Earth calling Zach.
He muted his mic.
Yay!
Okay.
There
Excellent.
it is.
There he is.
What's up, man?
How
Hi,
much?
hey,
How are
Zach.
you doing? And God, it's an honor to be on the show. Thank you for having me. I just want to start with that.
Oh,
I've been a fan for a while, and I really enjoy listening to you guys.
Hey, we appreciate it, man. It's an honor to have you
thank
on
you.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to have you, just like James said. Man, thank you. And thank you for being with us as long as you have. Who knows who we've scared off so far, but I mean, really, like literally. But everybody, this is Zach Black, a man of multiple talents. I'm going to let him tell you his backstory, his history, and everything else, just like we do everywhere else. So, Zach, tell everybody who you are, what you do, where you've been, what you know, and go.
First of all, this is the best place to tell how I got going, because you guys are, mapping out even what people are doing in their front yards and talking about what got everybody into it to begin with, and what started the whole haunt thing. And that's it, going out and dressing up and having fun, spooking people. But I started my front yard. I think the very, very first thing that I did that got me really turned on to the idea was there was this foam head that my mother had in the closet, and it was a wig stand sort of a thing, and somebody put hologram eyeballs on the wig head, and it freaked me out. Like, I hated the damn thing. Like, it bothered me so bad that I turned it around backwards so that whenever I opened the closet, I wouldn't have to be eyeballed by the damn thing. And
how poltergeist of you. I have to say that. How very poltergeist of you. That's great.
Speaking of that, my mother took me to see it when it opened, and I was like a little tiny kid. That traumatized the shit out of me. I immediately dismantled my bed when I got home so that the clown couldn't reach out and grab my feet. It was like the mattress was hitting the slap on the floor. My mom was pissed. She's like, "Yeah, I can't do that to your bed." I was like, "I don't care. Like, nothing's grabbing my feet." Anyhow, so back to the foam head. Halloween's going on, and we're thinking about costume ideas. And I think I'm like 10, and I'm thinking, that head freaks me out. I bet it freaks other people out too. So I get a jacket on, I put it on top of my head, do a little button. And this is, back in the 80s, they had like the little collar button on the windbreaker kind of jackets. And that's the kind of jacket it was. So it fastened the head on perfectly. And I just unzipped the zipper a little bit. And my mother was holding my hand, walking me through the mall, getting candy. And people were freaking out. Like, I just don't know why I had a talent for knowing that would bother people. And it was just so bizarre. It wasn't store-bought, and it wasn't really anything that elaborate. And the basic just weirdness of it really bothered a lot of people. There was a lady, she fell over backwards in her chair when I approached her to get some candy from her, and I'm like 10. And it was a blast. Like that was so much fun, and my mom liked it and I liked it, and I just, the next year I was like, okay, I'm doing stuff in the front yard. And our neighbors would set these chairs out and put like the scarecrow looking goofy stuff. There was at least 7 or 8 of them every year on my block. And so the next year I got the idea to dress up like one of these little props and sit in a chair. So I'm like dead smack in the middle of the block. So from both ends, they had all these still props to get used to the fact that they don't move. And I'm literally like smack in the center. So by the time they got to me, they were used to seeing all these things. I even stuffed myself and painted my eyelids black and put a mask on. So if they got really close and examined me, I'd still seem fake. And to this day, I think the best, most hilarious scare I got was in my front yard. I don't have any at any haunts that match this one. So this kid, the parents were driving driveway to driveway with their little kid. I mean, he wasn't like maybe 4 feet tall. And it was shuttling candy back and forth in the car. So the kid goes to my mom, gets some candy. He's got his back turned, and I jump up and go, "Roar!" And this kid bolted faster than, I mean, it was inhumanly fast. Like and this is not an exaggeration. I mean, the way, as fast as he darted, man, I mean, it was like warp speed. His mom had the window rolled down so he could dump the candy and talk to him. Well, he knew it was rolled down, and he just literally like dives through the windshield, and it can't quite clear the door. And so his feet get caught and there's kicking. I just see his little legs kicking, and he screams at his mom. He's like, "Go, mommy, go!" And he thought, that little bastard really thought he was going to die. And I mean, it was so funny, man. I was like crying, laughing. And I've been addicted since. I think the first haunt that I did that was at a public place was for fire explorers to raise money. It was called Horror at the Met, and I did a werewolf costume that year. And it was hot as, sorry, I'm trying not to cuss too much. I'm a natural cusser. I know y'all try to keep that to a minimum. So I'm like choking. I'm choking back. I'm trying real hard for you guys. Anyways, so I do the werewolf get up, man. And I even went so far as I got Lee press-on nails, like real ones. I went to a salon, had my toes and my fingernails done. And it was just way hotter than I ever imagined that costume would be. But the cool thing about that night was some kind of weird, freakish, low-lying fog eased in around the building, and it was perfect. I mean, you could duck down in it and not be seen, and then spring up. And I was crawling around, sneaking up to people on the line and coming out of the fog in that thing, and it was just glorious. I loved it. But after that one night, I was like, man, I'm not doing a werewolf ever again in the South. Like that was the last. And if I do a werewolf ever again, it'll be somewhere where it's really cold, because that full fur, that fur is hot. I mean, hot. Then the next time I got involved in the scene, Sloss Fright Furnace opened up in Birmingham, Alabama, and I did not go for the first year it was open. I believe I came in on the second year, and I dressed up as a vampire, but it was kind of inspired by the Hat Man. Have y'all ever heard stories of the Hat Man and Shadow People or anything like that?
I've heard stories of the Shadow People.
Well, Shadow People.
Yeah, there's a character that's associated with that called a Hat Man. He's basically like a silhouette of a hat, and he has red eyes. So I ordered some contact lenses that were red, and it was kind of like, in my mind, I thought, what would look kind of creepy and weird hanging around the furnace, kind of like in the shadows. So I donned all that gear and just like hung out there and kind of peeked around corners and was like jacking with people. And you know, a lot of people were freaked out because I didn't do what a lot of haunt actors do, which is like run up to them or like immediately go like, ah, you know, and they're like there. I kind of like stay really far back and listen. And if I can hear them getting excited or pointing or talking about me, then I just make a mental note that they're freaked out, kind of walk away, come back about 5 or 10 minutes later, and I know that they're freaked. And then I go in on them when they're not paying attention, you know, like talking or whatever, and they don't see it coming. So I get a lot of laughs and a lot of scares that way. It's like I'll be standing behind someone and all of a sudden, you know, they're yabbity, 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 and then they go quiet. There's somebody behind you. And then like, you know, the girls go like, oh my God, really? Oh my God. And they won't even look, you know, they're just like, they go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So I did that for a while. And the guy who ran the place, like, I just showed up. I just showed up to screw with people. And the guy who was the manager at the time, I said, hey man, you're great at this. You want to work here? He said, how much do you want? And I said, dude, I love doing this. Like, you don't have to pay me anything. Just let me walk around, just do my thing, man. And, you know, maybe occasionally get a friend or two in for free. I promise I won't abuse that. I said, yeah, deal. And then that was that. And I was there for about 9 Octobers.
Oh, wow.
But that's how I stumbled into that whole thing. It was just a whim, and I wanted something to do. And I thought, hey, you know, kind of be fun to go hang around sloths and freak people out. You know, I just wanted to check it out. It's just the atmosphere really is what draws people, kind of like having fun in the front yard. It had more of a like hangout, festive kind of front area. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but the haunt itself also is pretty cool. But I do believe a lot of people came just because it's sloths and there's something to do eating food. They sold beer, which was kind of problematic at times. One year they decided to do a blood drive, you know, and they had me on the news because they thought it would be cute. You know, the vampire does the blood drive thing. Well, they were taking, you know, blood from people and then giving them beer and sending them through the line. And, you know, people were passing out here and there.
That's
you know,
great.
it's like derp. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. There was nothing like it. I mean, it's changed a lot. A buddy of mine did a review for it, and I hadn't been back in years. I moved to Arkansas. I got married, and I kind of got out of the haunt scene while I was married. Yeah, that ended. So I was like, well, I'll go haunt again. I'm single, and I got a whole week to myself. Why not? So I, you know, been back into my gear and traveling around. Moto invited me to Creepy Hollow, which was awesome. Creepy Hollow has got the spirit and the atmosphere, sort of like sloths. It's just the place itself. The place itself it has magic to it. It's just it's
it's out in BFE. That's why it's so creepy. It's like the hell out there.
It is. It is. I mean, that's I mean, it's just like when you walk on the property, Sloss has that ominous like da 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 da. And when you're driving out to BFE out there to Creepy Hollow, man, it's the same type of whoa. You know, you're like you can feel the darkness surrounding you.
That was a good voice. Can you do that voice again? Hold on.
Yeah.
You want me to talk dirty to you, baby?
Are you gonna do Creepy Hollow again? Are you thinking about coming back?
Always, man, if I can. I don't know. You know, this year is dicey. It's an iffy thing. Honestly, if I do anything, I may have to change my whole costume plan, dude. I'm honestly thinking of literally getting some sort of respirator and turning it into a scary mask for the whole corona problem.
Yeah,
right.
That's a solution.
Yeah, I recommend it for a lot of people because, quite frankly, my Bloody Valentine, I've been there twice, Arx Mortis. Well, it got freezing cold Friday night. the last time we were there. I mean, way colder than I anticipated. And I got a little ill when I got back home. And part of me wonders if I didn't already get corona and then get over it, because I got sick it stuck with me for about 3 weeks, no, 4. And I used to paint houses for about 7 years. So when I was sick, I didn't get paid. So I counted every day, and it hurt like every day I couldn't work. And I worked sick many times because I couldn't afford not to. So I counted every day. Generally, within 2 weeks, 2 or 3, I was okay. This stuff, it seemed to stay with me for about 3 to 4 weeks or an extra week. It just seemed to be very, very strong compared to how I've ever felt in the past. And I think I might have gotten exposed to it and then just shook it off, because lots of people came from many different states. And we were just kind of waking up to the fact that it was a problem here in the US when it could have already very well been here by mail handling. Who knows, man? But just a whole bunch of different people, different actors came to check it out. And Arts is also a huge treat. Like Arts is amazing. Each haunt kind of has its different strong suit. And Arcs, to me, the spirit and the energy that all the actors have is kind of unmatched to anything that I've seen roaming around. And I've been to a few haunts here in Little Rock. I'm in Little Rock. So for about 3 years, I kind of explored the haunts here and did some reviews. So I kind of been around a little bit of everywhere, not too many places, but I got a good balanced perspective of some different places and their styles and how they do things.
Yeah, and at heart, you're a home haunter, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It speaks to us,
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of like the same vibe. I can guarantee you that I listened to y'all talking, it kind of grabbed me. I knew that if y'all were at a haunt somewhere and I heard your conversation, I'd probably ease over there and join into it. So I'm kind of that guy. I'm that kind of guy. So that definitely sounded like the dudes I would hang out with.
Well, we appreciate it, man. That you definitely are, on the same wavelength as we are, and it's it's great that we're bringing people together like this, that everybody can start like getting back and really focusing on the haunt, the yard haunts and the small stuff. Really appreciate what actually goes into it.
Yeah,
and Zach, just let you know, because I don't know if you heard or if you listened to when Kevin, we had Moto on, and aside from everything he said on the chat, on live chat, if you were just itching to go to a haunt, to go work at one, and you could make it to Creepy Hollow, he is dang well determined to make it as safe for the actors and the customers this year. They're spending a load of money to open up in a very safe environment. So if you did come down, you did your mask and everything else, I know that all the safety precautions that they could possibly take would be in place for you to feel a bit more at ease, if you came down to Creepy. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I'm actually, for me, I'm not ultra concerned about how the government handles it or what the haunts are going to do about it, because generally, whenever I go to these places, over the years, I've learned to bring a variety of different outfits or gear, and kind of like I treat it like camping out. So I'm just like, I've got alcohol in a spray bottle for the inside of my mask. Some people don't know this, but if they wear latex mask or any kind of mask and they never disinfect it, they can get an infection on their face. So I have like an alcohol spray bottle for such a thing. I'm spray my hands, spray my face. I'm pretty not that worried about getting it. Like I said, I think I already probably got it and shook it off. Who knows? But
Right.
I'm not horribly scared of that whole aspect of it. Plus, I don't know. I feel like the universe enjoys my suffering and it won't let me die. Like it just won't. It just doesn't want to be like, no, you don't get off that easy. Like, so I don't know. I don't think I'll die of corona. It'll have to be far more excruciating for it to fit in line with most of how my life is gone.
Mine will probably be lightning. Lightning is going to be I'm going to probably be struck like 300 times in a row by lightning. That's probably what's going to have to take me out. Then it'll still take a stake to my heart and cut my head off after that. I'll be like, oh.
I always thought it'd be
so
a shark for me, but I live in Pennsylvania now, so
it'll be a
That's-
Sharknado.
yeah.
I just got to say that'd be a nice way to go, man. The lightning strike, like pow. I mean, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
pretty metal.
Yeah.
That's
Why
that's
not?
pretty metal.
Why not? I mean, I literally. But remind me Friday. I'll tell you the story about the palm reader that I freaked out because that all ties in. But that'll be Friday's story. After Vic. But you also do you make masks and costumes and for other people? Do you actually do stuff and sell stuff?
I can and would, depending, but generally what I've seen in the industry, some pretty awesome mask makers mass produce. They're like
Mhm.
Immortal Mask makes amazing masks, and they're like
Yes.
300 minimum, 500. Some stuff's like a grand, because honestly, that's how much it takes to make them and produce something reasonable and good and won't just tear up and all that. So me not wanting, I don't have the ability to mass generate, and honestly don't really want to. Like I said, I'd do a custom job for somebody if they paid decently, but there's something about the whole generating the same thing and everybody has it aspect that bothers me. Like, I really like to see original pieces and creative things. So the whole like mass producing isn't something that appeals to me.
So
Gotcha.
you're saying we could get a Mr. Dolos custom?
Yes,
For $3
Yes, you
billion.
but generally, yeah. Generally, what happens is, if somebody gets something that they basically can afford, they get something that's unsatisfactory. It's basically what it does really honestly boil down to. It's not a rip off or a scam or, it's just like silicone is mondo expensive.
Yeah.
Everything you have to pull off in the hours, really. I just did an experimental mold with a friend of mine that was over here recently. I've made one of my face, but I've seen so many different people use so many different techniques that it can be really mind-boggling getting into that, because you'll see a bunch of guys do it a bunch of different ways, which I've watched all of it, everything I can. But like I say, I worked for a comic book company once, and I always thought that I wanted to be a comic book artist when I was in high school. That was my dream. I got there, and when you have to do it like all day, every day, or else it's not really fun. Like, our finance are also kind of dictated certain storyline twists that I didn't like, and I thought it was kind of lame and ruined the characters. But I wasn't in charge. So, anyways, it's what I'm trying to say is I like to do it when I'm in the mood and under the right circumstances, which are here and there. It's not like I don't mass produce, so that's what I'm trying to say. I can draw, sculpt, paint, all that. So I would make someone a custom piece, but what's strange about it is I know a lot of people know that I can sculpt and do these things, and no one's been like, "Hey, dude, will you make me something?" So I don't know. It's strange. But yeah, I sew. I made a Jedi cloak because I'd always want one like the Sith Lord style with the big hood. And that was such a major pain to learn. I had to make a dummy of my chest with duct tape and rags. Stuffed it. I watched a kid do this on YouTube. He got an old T-shirt, wrapped himself in duct tape, and then cut it off of him. Took it off, taped it back together, and then stuffed it. So it's kind of like a mold of your torso, sort of. I mean, it bends a little. So I did that, put it on a stick, made some feet for it, and then was able to complete it because it was so hard trying it on and making a move or whatever. But finally, I aced it. It took about a month of fiddling with it. Very time consuming, and I did not have a sewing machine. It was by hand. My mother gave me an old sewing machine, and I've been able to do things a little faster with that. But I'm pretty much a major tinkerer, and I will sit there forever and fiddle with it until it's the way I want it, which can be taxing at times. Sometimes not so much, but some things, even though they're cool and interesting, can be very grueling to pull it off.
So you're a perfectionist, pretty much.
Yeah. I'm never satisfied with it. You know, it's always, I look at it and I think, well, I could add this and put on some more of that. And so the ideas are never truly 100% finished. I'm always thinking like, yeah, I could add a little more, add a little more.
Yeah,
Some of these,
I'm the same way. It's frustrating sometimes too.
yeah, absolutely. But that's where I really get a kick out of some of these haunters. You know, I'll go to these places and I'll look at some people and they just amaze me. Like immediately I look at them and my jaw almost drops. You know, I'm like, wow, the detail. And I almost like kind of get up to them. I'm like, look, oh, look, you look so cool. They're like, oh my God, this guy's weird and he's in my personal space. You know, but I just like really like, I love it when they spend a lot of time ripping and staining and tearing. All of those haunter costumes where they just kick it around in the dirt and sit and use grinding tools on them, and they just go all out. You can tell that because of what I do, I know they spent many an hour going over it, you know. And since I'm a detail freak, and when somebody else does something on that level, I know how hard they worked on it. I have like a realistic gauge of how many hours they put in or how much thought they put into it. So I really do like it when they kind of shock me. I've run into a few that have literally made my mouth kind of open, like, wow, look at that, man. You know, and I have to go over there and tell them that it's that cool to me.
Well, that's good though. I mean, because that's I think it's that kind of stuff that prompts them to keep going when they get the kind of accolades and praise for something they've spent quite a long time on. You know, of course, a lot of those people, that's their livelihood too, so they have to kick it up a notch like every year. And you're right. There's a lot of just absolutely wild stuff out there. Absolutely wild.
Yeah. Today, I was thinking even more so about the whole front yard aspect and the magic of Halloween and how things have so much changed with the internet versus the pre-internet as far as what makes it so fun. You know, why are we doing it? And it goes back to the celebrations of the changing of the seasons. I mean, people's lives hinged around farming a lot. You know, if they didn't do well farming, they were going to die, or, you know, so serious. So when they got a good harvest and they knew things were going to be okay, you know, it was time to party. It's time to.
Are you planning on doing it? Like, if you don't go to work at any haunts, are you gonna do anything at your house?
Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
Did we lose? I think we lost him. Uh-oh.
Yep, it said he left. All right, he should be back. His phone may have went into sleep mode or something. Yep, there he is.
He may be like, oh, is he back? Hello.
What? He's back. He just.
I'm just gonna keep saying uh-oh until he comes back. What?
Yeah.
He had one of those shadow people probably like.
Hello.
Yeah,
throw
there
his
he is.
phone
Hey,
out.
man.
Okay, so what was the last thing you?
All right.
What was the last thing you heard me say? Because it just dropped, and I don't know where I cut off at exactly.
I think the last thing you said was party.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, it's about everybody enjoying the fall and having a great time because, you know, later in the winter you're not maybe going to be having such a good time. Who knows? And this out in the front, that people deep down on the inside are craving is the festivity, the interaction with a bunch of other people and having fun and partying.
Yeah.
That's what these haunts are about. Like, that's why they're there. And that is also where, when I see some of these other actors that really, you know, stir my, you know, creative insides, or they excite me, you know, and it juices me, it jazzes me, and I, you know, I want to go party and talk to them and hang out, and you know, there's just a lot of energy there of a bunch of different people to share stories with. And it used to be, back when we started at Sloss, everybody hung around. When the show was over, we were there talking about how, sharing stories, you know, if somebody peed on themselves, or if someone had a code brown, you know, something like that. They're all chuckling, and they would talk about what happened to them. And that was like half the, like, aside from the fun, the thrill of doing it and being amongst the crowd and the people, the other really rewarding fun part was we're exchanging our stories at the end after the show is over. And that used to, back in the earlier days when it was a newer thing, that was standard, and that kind of dwindled a little bit, where less and less people did that. It has always kind of been heartbreaking for me, because that was years ago. You know, I think 06 or 07 was my last year there, and I moved to Arkansas. So it had been a very long time since, but I've always really liked that aspect of it. That's like half of it to me. It's not just the scaring the people and, you know, laughing about the screams. It's the energy of the festivities and the social rewarding aspects of it.
Yeah.
That draw me, you know, wanting to, you know, that's what I'm seeking when I do these things.
Well, like, I'm from Florida originally, and when I moved up to Pennsylvania, I was amazed that a lot of the cities around here still have Halloween parades. Like, the difference in how people celebrate up here compared to like Florida was crazy. It's so much more involved up here. And it's almost, it's like how I remember things when I was a kid, when people would have, you know, not just parties to get drunk at, but like actual just Halloween parties to, you know, have fun. And
yeah,
well, I mean, I was a kid then, so obviously I wasn't paying attention to the drinking, but for now it seems like it's just like a goofy, get drunk, have a reason to drink party. Whereas back then it was like people got together and had a good time without necessarily getting blackout drunk.
Yeah.
Well, the generations have changed too, unfortunately.
Yeah, very much, man. The world has changed a lot. Like, I honestly am kind of dumbfounded and shocked a little bit by some of the current events, some of the stuff that goes on. It's just, it blows my mind. But aside from all the corona and the crazier aspects of what's going on in the world right now, let me ask y'all this. I kind of want to hear more from both of y'all. So while we're on the chat here, will you guys give me a refresher on where y'all started, and like somebody, I don't know, I forgot which one of you was telling the story, but the last one that really grabbed me was somebody was talking about being on a fence up high somewhere and then falling down and kind of hurting themselves slightly. It might have been one of your guests. Well, I'm sure there was like 3 people talking,
Yeah, I think
but
that was
the
one of
fella
the
fell
guests
off
that
of
we
the
had.
fence and was being questioned, and that whizzed me back to some sloss things that had happened. I was like, oh yeah, it's a similar thing. Anyways, I don't know if that was one of the 2 of you that fell from the fence or if it was your guest.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know if I may have forever ago. I may have told a story about one of the actors in the haunt that I did here. Got yanked off a fence, but that was just 2 people yanked him off the fence, and he shook it off and basically was going to kill somebody. That was the whole story, pretty much. And it was a compete. The following year, 2 people that yanked him off the fence actually did their own haunt, but it was kind of a boring story. But to answer your question, I mean the Cliff Notes version for me is it's kind of the same as you, Zach, because as a kid, my parents were engrossed in Halloween. They loved it, and of course that's where I get my love for it from. And I was a kid that I could have done without trick or treating and stayed at the house and scared everybody else with my parents. And what I would do is I'd run out, get all the candy I could. All the neighbors knew I was the first one to get candy. It was still daylight, and I'd end up back at the house, get myself ready, and then all the kids that would come to the house, which was heavily decorated, I'd have fun scaring them, and I just kept that rolling from going to different haunted attractions to Halloween Horror Nights for many years, ingraining myself in the industry, meeting a bunch of people, and of course, if you ask James, liking every damn haunted Facebook page that exists on every server on the planet. Consulting, managed a haunt here, met tons of people. That's the Cliff Notes version for me, but it's the same thing. The passion started for me with my parents. I still have some of the original tubed black lights that we used when I was 6 or 7 that still work.
Wow.
So
Mine
I don't
was
use it, but
mine's fairly similar. It started when I was a kid. Always loved Halloween, and then I did it was like a haunted hayride at this feed store, and that started my love of scare acting. And I did a bunch of random stuff, and then I went to, I don't know if you say moved up, but I ended up at Halloween Horror Nights as an actor there. That was super fun. And it's always been, I've always loved like decorating the yard. And I guess it was because when I was sort of young, we lived in a subdivision, then we moved out to like the country and had a bunch of acres, and like we didn't have trick-or-treating in our neighborhood. We'd have to drive to another neighborhood to actually do it. But I was always just enamored with it. So then when we got our own place, it just kind of continually went from there. And it's just Halloween is just the best.
it's the best.
It is. It is. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw you dropped out
just,
again, but yeah.
Yeah, I had technical gremlins tonight for some reason or another.
You've
Now,
got shadow people.
I have that photo that you sent me. Is it all right if I put that on the stream for a minute to could you give us a story about what this was?
Which photo?
It was one you sent me. It's you're like in blue smoke.
The vampire. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. This picture, by the way, was taken by Chris Holcomb at Arts Mortis, who's like a huge graphics guy and video editor type, and he put, which I thought was amazing, the bluish effect. I don't believe that was there live. He added that, and it gave me it reminded me of Salem's Lot, the bluish tone, which I loved because Salem's Lot is one of my favorite vampire flicks. You know, it's like old school and just really, it's not the sparkly romantic kind of vampires. It's the what if the vampires were sort of demonic or infectious and kind of like were spectral. They were more supernatural kind of a thing, almost ghost-like. Anyways, the smoke he did and the blue effect, I just was so thrilled with how that photo turned out. I had no idea it would be that nice.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
That's a great photo.
This dude, Dozer, the clown, he was blowing his vape. So the fog is not a fog machine. He's like, he's blowing his smoke on me, man. He's blowing his nasty smoke on me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Clowns love me.
Yeah, we
a lot of clown friends.
We have quite a few vaping clowns on our page here. They show up
We
regularly.
do.
You know what?
Some characters.
You know what? There is a shortage of clowns in the haunt industry. This is an emergency.
I think there are.
We need to recruit more clowns for the haunt industry. I just don't think we have enough.
And they all need vapes.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say my sarcasm is, of course, they're the only ones that keep the vape industry alive, but that's okay. I'm playing.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got Jabby, who I don't think is here with us tonight. Jabby is our resident mafia clown. He is our head clown here at Haunters Anonymous.
Yeah, what the heck,
he's
Jabby?
not here tonight.
What's going on?
Yeah, Jabby. I saw Mark sneak in here. I don't know if he's. Yeah, that's a fantastic picture. That would probably be another good one to James to, put on the page maybe tomorrow or something like that. Because it's there and all that kind of stuff. That's actually, Zach, with your permission, would you be okay if we posted that on the Haunters Anonymous page like tomorrow or Friday?
Oh, absolutely. And just for future reference, if I ever send you a photo of anything, you feel free to use it. I mean, I'm not that touchy about it.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you.
But, the sewing project that I mentioned, that what I'm wearing in that picture, I hand sewed. That's my Sith Lord kind of gi thing. Has a real big warlock-like sleeve, so I liked it for the vampire for that night. And those fangs, I made those. Those are sculpted by me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, those were kind of a pain to make at first, but I got used to it. Those are my first pair that I've made.
That's amazing. Like for a vampire, there aren't many vampires that would scare me, but if you jumped out at me, I'd question myself.
Oh well, let's. You had the Scream Queen on. Oh, you just reminded me of something. You had the Scream Queen on. All right. One of the things that I like to do, honestly, even though I look like that, I try to stay in the shadows a lot when I'm at a haunt. I don't like for people to just like see me immediately because they don't get startled that easy. I mean, if you come out of nowhere, they always, they'll jump or kind of flinch or whatever. And a lot of people, honestly, aren't scared. I mean, they're there for the fun. They're there to get out of the house and do something, besides just be at their home. And they want to do something exciting like watching a movie or going into where there's some energy. And so a lot of people that come through the line are just they're happy, go lucky, nice. And then you have your few of them that are scared, and then the even less few that are there to be macho men and like start a fight or be
those are the best.
Oh God, I hate them. Anyways, a lot of those dumbasses don't know I carry a taser, so if they did anything, I'd light them up. Take that, buddy. Anyhow, I try to stay in the shadows and get the drop on them. So like I'm working in the queue lines, I don't really like them to see me coming. So I also, from being in the dark, I like to mess with people when they can't see what's there. So a lot of times I'm at the shower, or especially when it's
Oh,
Uh
the
oh.
the gremlin came back, I think.
The shadow person took him out. While you get him back, Jabby said he met Zach at Arcs.
Oh, that's cool. What the heck, Javi? Why are you showing up 50 minutes late?
And already throwing Friday.
Yeah, already dropping Friday content.
Oh, is
He just
did we
jumped
lose
back
Zach?
in, but it usually takes it a second for it to reconnect for him, I think.
Oh,
Yep, there he is.
testing,
welcome
testing.
back.
Oh, yay! Yay, I'm back. So,
Shadow people again.
so you know, fooling around in the dark, coming up with ways to scare people when they can't see you is all local. It's going to be a noise, or you're going to bang on a steel barrel with a hammer, or you got to be creative. So I would think of weird things to do if people couldn't see me, which was often. So I would do like a snake hiss that's similar to the machines that blast air. That I go, But if you're not going to be able to hear on the mic, but if I get a full air full of lungs and press it out through my teeth as hard as I can deliver a pretty strong blast that'll actually blast your hair back.
Oh wow.
So that's one of the things that freaks people out. And so others would speak in demonic tongues, be in the corner and be like, so you do
That was
strange
awesome.
things.
Yeah.
Or
Dude, you just
do
summoned a
things.
Snickers bar right in front of my face. That was awesome. I'm
like
kidding.
do the so
That was
I would do
awesome
that.
too. That's impressive.
Yeah, like I said, I like the sleight of hand magic scares. I don't like the boo, like it's so done, like everybody does it. I like to try to find new ways to kind of like freak someone out, and I've been pretty decent at disturbing people more so than startling them.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
I think you got a few in chat actually.
Yeah.
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 Zach, you should totally send like a demo tape to Distortions. They'd probably eat you up. Love you.
Who's that? I never heard of them. Do tell.
Oh my God. Wait, what?
He's full of sarcasm.
Oh, I was like,
No.
wait, no.
No. I mean, honestly, I've never heard. What are you talking about?
Oh, see, you should never listen to them. Distortions. God, James. Distortions Unlimited. Totally, you should look them up. Did you ever see a series called Making Monsters?
No.
Oh,
it sounds familiar, but I haven't watched it. I mean, I know I've heard that title.
Oh, now you would probably love the hell out of it. Distortions Unlimited. Look them up, man. I could not. I'd spend hours doing them justice. Ed Marsha, just God, nicest damn people. They are huge in the industry, but they had a show made of them. I think it was called Making Monsters. I think it was 1 or 2 seasons. I think it was Travel Channel. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, they do a lot of props that have voices and noises and stuff. And I'm telling you, you could probably send them a demo tape and they'd be like all about you. But
yeah,
look them up.
I need to look into that. Honestly,
Dude, oh my God, look,
interesting.
check out Distortions Unlimited, and then from there you can Making Monsters on, and they have a lot of stuff that they now do on their own on YouTube. But yeah, that was fantastic.
That was like, awesome.
I was looking around going okay, well, should I take my headphones off now, or should should I get Alexa to turn on my lights completely on, or like hell's going on?
And it didn't redline the audio at all, so it was perfect.
Yeah. I bet you could. I bet you could if you tried. I'm not like, daring you, but I bet you could, Zach, if you wanted to redline James's ears. That was awesome. But dude, you should totally. I think Distortions Unlimited would be right. You would just get engrossed with them, and then if you can find Making Monsters, it was like 1 or 2 seasons. You'd love it.
It was a really good show.
Yeah, you would understand completely what I'm talking about sending them a demo tape. You'd understand 110%. You really would.
Awesome. Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's easy to do too, man. I can just sit there on the mic and do all kinds of stuff, and just. I mean, that's not hard to. That's probably one of the easier things I know how to do, as far as not being time consuming and easy to pull off. Sound effects is. I've done a lot of. I'll always try some new noise too. One time I tried frogs and cats. They're pretty decent at making a bullfrog like a. Or a cat, or the. So,
nailed those. That was awesome too.
That's wild. I felt like I was in. I felt like it was in Mark's backyard again.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Mark's backyard.
But just people be standing in line at Sloss in the shadow. They could even see me, and I'd like make noises at them. Like they're like, "What the fuck?" Excuse me, sorry, I dropped the F-bomb. I knew I would do it. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
I told you, it's like I can't talk without cursing. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. I do it all the time.
Anyways, I just like the whole mess with their mind aspect. And in fact, I did the vampire so much at Sloss that people would remember. And I got to where I was just too familiar. I felt like I was more like Mickey Mouse at, where everyone's like, "Oh, look, it's Mickey." And they all walk up and they, want your autograph, which it can be cool. But don't get me wrong. I do like it when people think I'm neat and I always post for photos. Like if somebody's not scared and they're like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" Like, okay, cool. Obviously you're not going to be scared. So I'm going to respect your intelligence and not like go there when I know that it's just not going to happen. Because when I tell you one thing, is being a reviewer, they're going through some of these haunts. Like one time I went through Sloss, it came back, and this dude didn't know I had worked there for years, and he was a giant dude, and he came up and he's like doing the whole following me, breathing on me, trying to make me crack, and I just like stopped and smiled, looked up at him, and he was trying his best to intimidate me. This wasn't working. I started to kind of snicker. I was like, "Dude, like you don't even know who I am." Anyhow, I started to get to where I wanted to try a variety of different characters there towards the end, because I just became too familiar, and people really aren't scared by things that they're very familiar with. Like many times into my, just Hat Man kind of look where I was a vampire, but you really couldn't completely tell what I was. It just looked weird. I had a really long jet black wig on that was made out of real human hair. It's like a $200 wig. I just looked weird until you got closer and closer, and then when you saw I had red eyes, and then I used the fangs as a final like pop scare, like I'd be like and like showed the teeth. But the scare was just that I looked weird. Mainly, I walked around with a replica of the Dark Shadows Vampire Kane, the main character that had the silver wolf's head cane. I bought the replica off the internet and walked around with that. It looked strange. But when they got used to me, just it lost some of its appeal. And I noticed a lot of people would call me a movie character, even if it didn't make sense. Like I looked nothing like Freddy Krueger. I mean, for anyone that knows horror, I wasn't burned. I wasn't bald. I didn't have the claw hand, but so many people go, "It's Freddy. It's Freddy. It's Freddy. It's Freddy." And psychologically, that makes them feel less scared. When they put a name on it, They're saying, okay, I know what you are and I know who you are, so it's okay now. And I've noticed that from messing with so many people that if they put a name on it, they're not scared. And so people are really disturbed by things that they don't understand or that are, it's a total stranger. You know, if they see Freddy or Leatherface, they might go, oh, cool, look, cool, it's Freddy, it's Leatherface. But when they're like, what is that guy? Who is that? And why is he weird looking? And why has he got long hair? And he's coming closer, and I can't understand it. Like that was really the main part that bothered them, was the unfamiliarity. So once I became too familiar, I started to experiment. You know, I went zombie, and the zombie one was epically great. It wasn't the most fun thing to be because I was moving slow and rotten, which a lot of times I would sprint and sneak up on people as the vampire, but as the zombie, I was really trying to get into like I'm rotten and moving slow, like a you know, old school
Romero zombie.
Yeah, Romero zombie. It's on my Facebook main page. You see it on my profile. But I had worms in pockets in my vest that would crawl out periodically. I cut a tube to where they couldn't all get out quickly, but slowly overnight, some of them make their way through the tubes. Well, I was talking, and you know, I talked to somebody in a worm would just kind of like slowly ease out.
So you had actual worms?
Yes, and I put crickets in my hair,
Nice.
dirt, and I also did not bathe on purpose. I helped. I was like, I was doing some labor. That was the year I helped build the haunt. That was one year I designed it, a lot of it, and drew floor plans. And they built. I have a CAD degree, so I got AutoCAD and can map out rooms and basic floor plans. And I was stinky from moving panels around and screwing them and putting them in. And I just said, you know what, this will add to the effect of the zombie. I literally walked around stinking. Like you could smell me when I was a couple of feet close. So it was pretty rad. That really sicked a lot of people out. I enjoyed the reactions, but it was it wasn't a fun character from the standpoint of I was moving slow a lot, which I didn't much like after I gave that a whirl for one night. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do something else. So I did a clown a couple times in a serial killer butcher guy with a big sling blade. So towards the end, I was changing appearances, and again, like how I am, I like to mess with people and shock them. I'm kind of like the shock jock type of mindset, and I would wear my new costumes unannounced to show up at Sloss, and people some of them didn't know who I was, and they were trying to figure out who the new guy was. And I enjoyed that a lot. I'd show up as a clever, like, who the hell's that? Like, oh, it's Zach. You know, it'd take him a while. Some people didn't even make the association, and I played it for as long as I could with whoever couldn't figure it out. Those were good times. Although I did find that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I did find that clowns, even though I can do it, are not my preference because they're a very vocal character. You know, clowns are like, in the vampire, I was more like a mime. Zombie, I didn't speak. The wolf, I just growled. And like, some of the stuff can be kind of like, you know, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You can like be trying to be funny or something, and it can go south like real quick if you're doing the whole smart ass evil clown thing. So socially, it's a little risque. And you ever hear about how Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger, when they're done with the role, having trouble coming back to their normal self?
Yes.
That's kind of what happened to me slightly. It's like you get lost in this different persona, and it kind of weirded me out. Like, you know, I don't think I want to do clowns. It's like, it gets weird. Like some people want to pick fights.
Oh, go ahead.
I was done. What now?
No, go ahead.
Okay, that was it pretty much. I don't. I like to do the noises, but like if you're trying to do theatrical dialogues, those aren't really that practical for haunt acting. I mean, they can be done, and I've seen people do scenes where they have speaking lines, and it can be okay, but the practicality of having a conversation with someone as they're going through isn't that practical, because some people, like they're there to start problems, or they're there to not be a good sport about it. So the more you interact with those kind of personalities, like the worse it gets. You're better off ignoring them and getting them to just go on through the haunt instead of talking to you. Because the longer they're talking, the worse it's getting. It's like, it's like, hey, just go on, man. And I found that not engaging in the dialogue can help a lot with de-escalating situations, or having someone not even have the leverage to start trouble to begin with. Some people would come up to me at Sloss and really question me 20 questions, and I'd just smile. I'd literally just stare at them. They'd be like, hey, who are you? What are you doing? How long have you been here? Blah, blah, blah. And they're just going and going, and I'm just looking at them like I'm going to eat them. And don't answer. I'm just like watching them talk, and they finally go, well, okay then, bye. And then they walk off. Like, I did that many times, just stared like, are you done yet? But every now and then I would have a good conversation. Some of these dudes are like so hardcore, like, I never break character. I'm like, well, good for you, man, because sometimes you need to. I've seen people like get violently angry, and if you're a really good person that knows when to hold them, when to fold them, and when you should walk away or run, you learn through seeing so many people so many different times that if they're going to be Mr. Violent Guy, or go through to cause trouble, you just go, well, you wasted your money on a ticket, dude, because I'm not even going to try to do anything to you or with you. Like, you can just walk through and be bored, and you lose your money, buddy. I care nothing about those kind of guys or gals. On a rare occasion, it's a gal. But yeah, sometimes you got to be middle of the road. Like if someone's starting to get real pissed and it's escalating, you don't need to keep going rah rah rah. Like they're not at that point. They're not scared. You know what I'm saying? Like you're being an idiot basically. Like when the situation's gone south to a certain degree, you see the withdrawal. So some of those folks that are out there popping up their chest and claiming to never break character, well, they're the ones that usually get slugged.
Yeah.
I have not been hit in my entire career as a haunter. And I think that's pretty impressive, because almost everybody at Sloss got decked once, or at least shoved. And I kind of treated it like boxing, like I'm staying out of their arm swing, because I've seen, oddly enough, most of the strikes and the injuries that come from that kind of activity are from like a girl who all of a sudden screams and flings her arm, and the actor's nose just happened to be in the way of where she wildly flung her arm.
Yeah.
So most of the nose breaks have come from a little cute blonde girl, not from a big giant jock dude. So I kind of like, I go in to scare, and then I get ready to like get out of the arm swing. Like in other words, I'm always ready for that fling. I'm watching the body real closely, and if it even moves in a particular way, I'm already shifted where my head is. I've seen a lot of people get hurt, so you got to be careful and be focused and not overdo it. My first couple of years though, we got extreme. I mean, we would push people. Scab was talking about it one time on the internet. You think it's going too far when you're standing over someone and they're about to pee themselves, or they're screaming and they're crying, and it's like, well, to a degree, yeah, but I mean, the first year actors, or a lot of them, even if they're not first year actors, like you can't. That's the best part, Like you very rarely get people really freaked out. So when they do, it's really hard to want to do it briefly, Like some of the dudes that work with it just surround somebody and have them like pinned on the ground. There'd be like 5 of them standing over them while they scream. And
Hey, Hey Zach,
Yeah.
Keith is saying that his phone's dying, and he had a question for you and a
Yeah.
comment. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but his comment was also Jabby says that he met you at Arx Mortis, and he has utmost respect for you and your talent. I wanted to tell you that Jabby thinks you're extremely talented. Y'all did meet at Arx. Keith reminded me the other group you want to look into besides Distortion Unlimited. If you've never heard of Midnight Syndicate, they've been around for a long time. They used to do a lot of the Halloween Horror Nights used a lot of their music for the ambient music, but I would check into them too because I bet you could get a gig with them as well. So Midnight Syndicate. And the question that Keith had before his phone dies on him, have you ever had to use a script? Have you ever gone somewhere and they made you use a script, or you just free range all yourself?
I've always been off the chain. I haven't had to do any scripting, and in fact, I would probably get turned off by it because, like I was describing earlier, um, my creative impulses are moody and whimsical. So, like when I come home to work on some of my costumes, there are times where I'm just not in the right frame of mind. Like maybe I'm just too battered down from the week, and I need to just kind of recharge. And I just feel terrible. And the times where maybe I just don't feel well and need a rest, or maybe there's some other thing I'm trying to process or figure out plan wise. I really have to be in the mood to do certain things. So even when I haunt act, I will have periods where maybe that's just not my night. Maybe feeling a little, who knows? I mean, we're humans. You can have a night where you got the runs, or maybe got a really bad headache, or you only got an hour of sleep the night before, or something along those lines. So a lot of what I do comes in bursts. So I've had nights where I was like high energy, like all night long, went on like a juggernaut, and then I've had a few nights where I had half the energy, and sometimes a quarter. I mean, it just it comes and goes with me, but pretty much. And I've run into this in other places where I work. If I let someone else direct me, they direct me off into a ditch, and I know I can do better with my own thought process than them holding the wheel while I'm trying to drive. If that makes any sense. I
Right.
did show
Yep.
up. I did show up to a haunt within the area, and there was this young gal there who was, obviously the queen bee of the haunt. It was the coordinator, and the dude that told me I could do it. It was like a 1 or 2 night deal. And he said, just hang out around the front, do whatever you want to do, and it's you got free reign. Now the girls, uh, people will come through, and you'll just kind of like watch the line, stuff like that. Just kind of linger around this little front room when they first come in. I'm like, all right, cool, sounds reasonable to me, and it's what I like, just like near the front area. Plus, in my older age, I have issues, so I may need to use the bathroom a lot. I don't want to be buried deep within the haunt where there's not a place to pee. I'll pee on myself. I'm gonna go, you know, I don't want to run too far to the facilities in my older age. So the gals, like, they freakishly were short-handed, and they were kind of panicking, and it's understandable. You got to run all over you got to make up for all the lack of the people. And I was like, maybe when I was younger, and if it was more well lit, I was like, no, honey, I'm just gonna stay in this little front radius. I'm not running all over this place like a chicken with its head cut off because a whole bunch of people didn't show up, or you built your thing too big and don't have enough people in it. Uh, I wasn't trying to be rude or prickish. It's just I'm gonna middle of the road, and I'm not gonna do anything extreme, especially when it's volunteer based. I mean, if somebody was putting serious cheddar in my pocket, I'd let them have more, maybe dictatorship over the situation. But pretty much for me, I got to enjoy it, and it's got to be fun. If somebody's hovering over me going, no, vampires say blah, blah, blah. Not what you said. I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? You need to step off these. And you know, you need to back off, honey. I was like, you're a kid. Told her, I was like, I get that. I respect you. I get that you're trying to do your thing and it's respectable and all. I was like, and just find your little radius inside the haunt and you stay over there and I'll stay over here. We'll be cool. We won't annoy each other. Like, in other words, I won't be telling you how to scare people. You won't be telling me. We'll have a good time. You know, like, we need to keep this fun. And the way we keep it fun is let people have fun. I've seen a lot of like friction between factions inside the industry too. I mean, back in the day, man, there was like cliques and groups, and this one group kind of got out of hand and was bullying a lot of people, like a gang. And at some point, I got fed up with it, and I went to the owner. I said, "Dude, you need to have a big old meeting and tell everybody that we are all the same team. This is our haunt, and we're on this team. There are no sub teams and team A and team B and C and cool kids and uncool kids. Like, we're all of us are the team. And you need to tell these pricks that you run it, and if they're going to be trying to run it and shove everybody around and be mean, then they can pack up and go." As much as they were wanted and as good as they were, that was problematic, and that was squashed. I was happy to see that the boss took the bull by the horns and was like, "Hey, even if you're all that and a bag of chips, if you're walking around being jerks to these people, that's not welcome and that's not cool." So things can get kind of cliquish and weird at times, and I've seen it.
Very.
I've also seen it, very unclickish. Like I said, back in the day in the earlier stages, we were all hanging out after the show, swapping stories, man. Like over 50 people. You're talking about like a crowd. Like, there were so many actors there. It was a small crowd, and everybody was telling stories for at least about an hour before we got tired and went home. But it was like almost the best part. It was like, it wasn't just the part where we're getting scared everybody, but it was all the chuckles we had talking about people doing things. One time I saw a guy full sprint, and some kind of chain was running across two objects.
I think the gremlin got him again.
Oh my God, Shadow People got him for the 4th time tonight. Damn those Shadow People.
Tricky little guys. And he's got a ton of stories, though, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah, we get him back. I think the thing to do, because we're almost at 30 minutes after, is to definitely you're back with us, Zach?
No, not yet.
And definitely have him on like multiple more times.
Oh yeah,
because that is definitely going to happen.
I agree. Oh, sounds like he's back now.
Can you hear me
there
now?
He is. Yes.
Okay.
The Shadow People.
So anyhow, I don't know how much of the story you heard, but dude takes off at full sprint and runs into a chain that's like perfectly at his neck level. His feet come out off the ground. His body was literally it looked like it was levitating for a few moments. Like the hang time, he paused kind of. It's kind of like, the Dukes of Hazzard when it pauses it, and he goes, "Well, it was at that moment that Tom knew he had really effed up," and then he comes down flat, like, belly flop in the pool flat on concrete. And I heard a loud smack, and every bit of wind left his lungs, and I heard ugh! And that dude didn't get up for about 10 minutes. I was just like, my jaw was hanging open, like, oh, I know that hurt so bad.
It hurt listening to
it. Man, and I think one of the wildest stories that's ever come out of the place. One night, it was a particularly irritable night. There was a huge crowd. I think the crowd being so big and them having trouble funneling everyone through there. I mean, sometimes some nights out there, we would have a mob of people. It was insane. Like there's nothing, words can't really describe it. It'd just be thick with people there. These guys would get irritable, some of them. It just seemed like there's a bunch of aggression in the air that night. I was kind of steering clear of a lot of folks, feeling a bit nervous. And then I heard on the radio from the security people, go quick to the tunnel, everybody quick to the tunnel. And I'm like, I full sprint haul ass to the tunnel. And some dudes came through and punched or shoved one of the actors down in the tunnel. And all of the actors in that scene got mad at the group, and it was like kind of a semi-gang brawl. They chased them out of the tunnel, out into an open area. And when I got to the open areas, the only thing that I saw of the whole thing, there was just piles of guys on top of each other. Somebody was trying to handcuff the main offender, and all of his buddies were barking and yelling at us while they were cuffing him. And I literally thought I might die that night because I thought a knife or a gun might come out of nowhere. And it was nuts. Like that's just a big group squabble. Talk about intense. Now I'll never forget it. It's one of the few times I've really felt like my life is in danger. So it's a nice kind of burned into my head. It's I don't want to give you the wrong idea about the place because it's very much mellowed out. And when we went back to do the review, they've got a lot more security and it was much cleaner. And there was like basically, and I had been complaining for years that they needed more people in the scenes to be security, not, they used to call for security. It takes security about 5 minutes to run, or 10, depending on how far away they were. And I was like, man, that's just too far away. And when I came back after many years, I saw they had fixed that problem, and it made me feel good because there was a few times where one girl, one time a dude pulled her behind the barrels and tried to have his way with her, and she broke free. And after that happened, you know, it kind of broke the jovial, carefree spirits. The more incidents we had, the more kind of over time things got a little more tense, you know, or people would be a little more irritable. So it seemed that as time went on, things got a little more irritable, and I guess that's why people quit hanging out afterwards, because there was just too much like soreness from past problems, etc. But it was just wild. And we did see there were several paranormal incidents there. With the time I helped build it, this dude, Michael Scoggins, was on Ghost Adventures talking about something that happened that night that I was there with him. There was some kind of cloud-like shadow entity that squeezed his lungs and told him to get out. He went off to do a tool roundup. We were about to close up for the night, and he comes bolting around the corner, panting because he ran pretty hard. And he's standing in front of me, gasping for breath, and he's like, oh my God, oh my God. And he's like, this dude's arm hairs were standing up straight. Like he had goosebumps. And like his arm hairs were like friggin' 1.5 inches long. He had like really airy arms. But they were standing straight up like needles. And
wow,
this dude, I worked out with him a little bit, and he is incredibly strong. Like he would like bench press stuff that's very heavy, like it was, you know, sacks of pillows. And he really had amazing strength, and he has tattoos, sleeve tattoos. He's an incredibly strong guy, and he's not afraid of like mortal men. You know what I'm saying? And when he came around that corner, pale white with his hair sticking up on his arms, I knew that what he said was true, because you can't fake your arm hairs standing straight up like that. And he was pale, like he literally looked like he was about on the verge of passing out. One time I was in the blowing engine room with a gal. We turned up all the lights and checked to see if anybody was there, and just sat in the darkness because it's notoriously one of the hot spots in the furnace. And there was no one in there. I completely checked it, and I also know all the hiding places in there. And the catwalks are extremely rusty. There's places around Sloss that not even a ninja can walk through silently. You can hear every footstep and the rails creaking and the metal's rusty. You cannot walk silently over certain pathways through that place, and I knew all of those pathways. Some footsteps. We sat in this window. It's got like a 3-inch deep ledge where you could sit up in the window, and it's like a small platform. We curled up in that window, and something humanoid, like a person, walked right in front of us and passed, and we could hear its feet scooting on the floor in the pitch dark. So she starts snapping random photos on a little digital camera, and later she shows me one of the pictures, and there's this outline of a person that looks like a shadow, and it's skewed. It's like the feet were to the left, and then the head was to the right by about 3 feet. So if you took a photo and kind of took Photoshop and skewed it in a shadow with a hat, and it was clearly a humanoid shadow that she got on camera. And then she deleted it on accident. I was so pissed, like, because I asked her for it a couple days later, and she did something and it was gone. But she snapped a photo that night.
That's crazy.
And I'd say some of the happiest moments, some of the most terrifying and weird moments of my life were there, and some of the happiest as well. One year, this gal, and I still dream about this to this day. It was such a magical time for me. This gal looked like Pamela Anderson without the large chest. Came on the scene out of nowhere. She had vampire teeth in, and she gets a look at me, and I look at her, and we both march straight up to each other and smooch. Like it was something like out of a movie. Like we both just looked at each other and was like, oh yeah. And it was amazing. It was like one of the happiest nights of my life. I was just like, this is so cool. Like I couldn't have dreamed that something this cool would happen to me. But she was so gorgeous. Like it just, she also witnessed something happen there. We were walking by and the fence was shaking as if someone had their hands in it, thrashing it really hard. And I thought, yeah, it's the guys like jacking with me and this girl, because they're hiding around here and they're messing with us. And so I go around the corner to this rope that's tied to the chain link fence, and I put my foot on the wall and try to shake the fence from the rope around the corner. And the tension was so tight on that rope that the fence didn't budge. And this girl saw me put my foot against the wall and literally use all my body weight to try and shake the fence, and it didn't shake. And then she looked at me and her eyes got really wide. She was like, oh my God, let's get out of here. And we left. But something shook that fence that was standing in front of it that we couldn't see because you couldn't shake it going around the corner. But she freaked when she saw me try to shake the fence from around the corner, and it wouldn't. There was also a few shadow figures out there. A bunch of guys that were working just stopped and started pointing at something, and I turned to look to see what they were seeing, and I couldn't see anything, but I saw all of their fingers moving at the same time. They're like, there it goes. But while they were all pointing, their arms were moving in unison as if they were all like laser guided. And I was like, man, they are seeing something and pointing to it moving right now. All three of them. I was standing behind them. One said they saw a figure that was gray, like, kind of like your stereotypical kind of gray movie type of ghost. He said it was kind of transparent and gray. Mm-hmm. The other one said they saw black, and another one said they saw like kind of like the Predator, like you can see the outline, but it's transparent.
Oh yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
So one guy described it as that way. So they all saw the same humanoid type of figure, but they all visually saw it different. And I thought that was like amazing paranormal notes for me because I'm huge into the subject. hear every story I can, research everything I can.
Well, Mike, I know Mike's got a few, for sure. His house actually, there's a whole history with it. I'll let him explain it whenever. But yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah, not tonight. Yeah, but yeah, I've got a for real haunted house for realsies.
Yeah, that's probably at the minimum of an hour tale, I would imagine.
No, mine's pretty quick.
No?
But we'll that it's one I get into anyway, and then there's usually a lot of questions and stuff. But yeah, but if you come down to, let's just say for instance you come down to Creepy Hollow this year, you're only about 50 minutes away from my house.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know Kevin. I've been to Creepy Hollow multiple times. I know those crazy ass people. But so yeah, you come and take a look, and we'll see if Willie Rozicki, the resident ghost, actually likes you. He always makes sure that if he doesn't like you, he lets you know. If he does, he lets you know that too. So
I would find that very interesting, to tell you the truth, because what got me started on the whole paranormal kick, I had a shadow person bother me when I was a kid, and I ran it off at like 10 years old. And later, I kind of forgot about it for a while, and then heard some more stories, and it got me interested in reading what other people had happened to them as far as that whole topic goes. And I've read countless reports and stories, some of which I know are probably crap, and others are probably actually true. But I always found that it was very interesting that out of all the stories I've read, very few people sent theirs packing, and I did that as a young child. And it seemed like after that happened, I very rarely dreamed anymore. It was like my mind shut some kind of door. I very rarely dreamed, but I used to have chronic nightmares while that thing was jacking with me when I was little. But something happened, and it just kind of like built up like some sort of wall or shield or something. And it seems like that kind of stuff doesn't like me, because I'll go through places, or I'll have people have a lot of experiences, and they kind of like don't, like, for in other words, at Sloss, many times I didn't see anything for years, and I was getting to the point where I thought it was just like things that the people were saying to hype up the haunt. I was like, oh, they're just saying that to make ticket sales. And then I started paying more attention to, there's plaques around Sloss, and one of the plaques actually reports a ghost sighting. So I was like, well, that can't be crap, because why would there be, mentions of ghosts on historical plaques? But like I said, I never had any kind of weird encounters for many Octobers, and I only had them towards the end, like I think the last 2 years I was there. So I was there so many times at night, all night, and nothing, like absolutely nothing. So part of me wonders if like things like that just either I can't pick up too much on it anymore, or that they don't want me to see. I don't know, but it's always baffled me. Like those guys could see that thing, and they were pointing, and I couldn't see it. I was out there like, whoa, WTF, man? Why can y'all see it and I can't? But then there's been other times where I have like point blank seen stuff.
well, Zach, let me ask you a question. Because we definitely want to have you on multiple more times. What would you be cool with coming back on and just doing a show about all the paranormal stuff that you've encountered?
Sure.
Because
Absolutely.
it sounds like there would be an amazingly full show of just that, and that would be cool. Because it's like I said, I live now. We're now considered the oldest city in the United States here in Pensacola. We took that away from St. Augustine, haha. But and so of course we have all kinds of stories in this town too. You'd probably love it here. That everything's haunted here. The damn Circle K's haunted. Everything's haunted around here. But
Is
yeah.
it Is
Huh?
it haunted by is it haunted by a famous Simpsons character? That's all I
It-
want to know.
It could be, but knowing the Circle K's around here, they're just haunted by like creepy slushy machines. I'm just kidding. But yeah, deal is, Zach, man, we're 30 minutes after our normal, which is phenomenal because the stories you're bringing us are awesome. But I have this feeling that we could literally do a complete show on just the paranormal stuff, and that would be fantastic because we're going to definitely have you on many more times before the season comes to us. But
Oh, dude, I love it. I mean, like I say, I like I see a lot of different entertainment on Facebook and people doing all kinds of different things. But for me, I like talking back and forth with people. I've done live, where I'm just like trying to drum up conversation. It is just not the same thing as being able to speak. I mean, texting is a horrible way to communicate when you're trying to talk about elaborate things that are just, I mean, it's just too much for text. I'm really not big on texting. I love talking,
agree.
like I could talk a million more times, man. I mean, it's like, to me, that's the enjoyable part of life is the interaction. So I darn sure would be on, and we could talk about all kinds of things all the time. So, I mean, I love to yap. And then sometimes I have to make myself stop. Like I'm the guy at the party going, okay, like I'm going on too long. Time to wrap it up, buddy. Like stop, you're killing them. So,
Jack,
talk forever.
Me, everybody that knows me is they're in the same boat. I've literally, yes, I have to be shut up many times. Trust me.
Dude, if you and I got together, it may be like something epic, like the Gate Master, the Keymaster. Like we might be talking so much, everybody around us might be laid out. Like, God, make them stop! Like they're too much together. Somebody separate them.
You're probably very right about that, but I've known to do that just individually. So, but
right on. Well, I enjoyed it. So thanks for having me on, and I'll come back whenever.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Zach, dude, the privilege has been ours. I mean, the stories are fantastic. And if you go back and look at the chat, you'll see everybody saying the same thing. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, we will have you back on because, like I said, the privilege is ours, especially with somebody that has tons of stories. But I really I think it'd be very interesting to get you back on here with, the haunted attraction, paranormal story.
Yeah, we could do a whole special night for it. Change some stuff up and do a special on paranormal stuff. So,
well, yeah, because it's all about the haunts and
he got
haunted.
Shadow Man again.
Oh my God,
he's back in. I think it's just gonna take a second for the audio to catch back up for him.
Well, everybody will get him back in for the formal goodbyes, and we'll let him go, and then we'll let you go. But I hate to just. Everybody it's like leaving a room and you're the only person there. And like, where'd everybody go?
There he is.
Hey, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So Zach, once again, before the shadow people get you for the 6th and final time, we never hear from you again because the shadow people got you. I'm kidding. For me, thank you so much for being on. Absolutely brilliant stories. Once again, it was our privilege to have you on here. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass this to James, and then we'll let you go, and then we'll do our formal goodbyes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you. It was great. Like the time flew by. I can't even believe we're almost at 2 hours. So
almost. That's why I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. You have a million stories, and I can't wait to hear more. And like I was saying, we'll do a whole special night just for paranormal stuff. Maybe we'll get a couple different people too. And then everybody can just have like a giant, like I'll put a campfire on the screen. We'll make a whole thing of it.
That's actually, yes, that's going to happen. But yeah, Zach, man, thank you so much. We'll let you go so the shadow people can have tea with you. But once again, man, thank you so much. We'll let you sign off, and then James and I will sign off in our normal crazy ass fashion.
All righty then. Well, guys, thanks again for having me on. And but the last but not least, before I vamoose, a shout out to Jabby, our resident mascot, who I have, yes, met at Arx Mortis, and it was a pleasure to see him and get to work around Jabby as well. So the feeling was mutual. There's a lot of cool people that joined up at Arx that night that I met Jabby, and man, it's just some people like blew me away. But anyways, guys, thanks again for letting me come on, and I'll come back on and run my mouth some more any other time.
All right. Thank you, man.
Brilliant.
Shout out to everybody who follows you and all your fans, and y'all have a great night. And I very much had fun and enjoyed it. Thank you again.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Zach.
Have a good one.
Take care, man.
All right. Take
Stay
care.
safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
So with that, everybody, brilliant stories. Yeah, the time, like we said before, seems to fly by now. It just seems to it's as if time stops. And the next thing you know, it's 2 hours. I really want to get Zach back on here some more. Friday, we'll have Vic Springston.
Mr. DIY. That's going to be a good one, too.
Be sure. Yeah. Of the Trio of Terror. I don't think we can get all trios of them in here.
Trios.
That's not a real word. All three of them in here. We're going to eventually do that. We'll figure out a time where they can all three be in. Thanks to everyone that came here. As always, without you, we don't exist. So much appreciative. We're going to let you all go. Thank you so much for me. Thanks again to Zach for being on. We will see you Friday night. I'm going to pass it over to James.
Thank you guys for hanging out and listening. I know these were all super interesting stories, so it was really easy to hang out, but I appreciate everybody staying the whole time. Can't wait to get Zach back on again, because he's got many talents, man. He had some of the greatest vocal distortions that we've had on the show. So
yes,
Sunday we had the Scream Queen, so now we have Zach on. We're really expanding here. But yeah, we will end it here. Thank you again, Zach. Thank you everyone for being here, because you are all so wonderful. And we will see you guys on Friday with some stuff from Vic. So everybody have a good night. Be awesome. And
be excellent to each other.
There you go. Have a good one, guys.